Thanks for listening to Run, Jump, Stomp. This week we're going to talk about the NX, Half-Life 3, Mario Party First Impressions, as well as the Wishlisted, Longplay, and more. Thanks for listening to Run, Jump, Stomp. Today is March 24th, 2015. I'm Bill, and here we go. Ever since Nintendo announced the NX, I've been thinking about what do they need to do to make sure that it's a success. Number one, I think it needs a good name that signifies that it's a new system and does not confuse consumers. In the past, Nintendo has not done this, so this is definitely something they need to figure out. Whoever's been in charge of their PR, or not PR, but their marketing, needs to be fired or replaced. Connectivity. Friend codes need to die in a big, bad way. They're a huge pain. Nintendo seems to have some, what's the word I'm looking for? Proclivity to making things difficult to communicate with your friends. The NX needs to have a system-wide friends list integration. That way it's easy to find your friends without putting in a 12-digit number. You need to be able to send a request to friends. You need to be able to send a request to be friends with somebody, and they need to get a notification that tells them. Right now, unless you tell the other person, hey, I'm going to friend you, they have no clue that they received a friend request. So you can't just be like, oh, what's your friend code, and then put it in, and then it tells them. They actually have to go in and say, has anybody tried to friend code me today? And if they don't do it in a certain amount of time, it expires, I think. Going along with connectivity, they also need to have a system-wide voice chat. Xbox 360 did it years ago. PlayStation 4 did they, or PlayStation 3? I'm not sure if they had system-wide. I think it was per game. But either way, this is definitely not a technological hurdle. This is Nintendo being conservative. So they definitely need to have system-wide voice chat. It needs to happen in a big way. Right now, a lot of people end up using Skype while playing a Wii U game online. And more often than that, they just don't bother playing it online because they can't communicate with their friends easily. Nintendo's aversion to allowing players to communicate effectively while playing has really hurt them in a big way. I seriously worry that they're going to put out Splatoon for the Wii U, which is a squad-based third-person shooter without voice chat, which means the game is pretty much a paperweight. You can't do a squad-based game without being able to communicate with the rest of your team. Club Nintendo's successor is going to be a single sign-in for multiple devices. I'm hoping that you can talk to your friends on the phone, not like, I don't mean like hold your phone up to your head and talk to your friends. I mean like texting. Although, that would be kind of cool if you could join voice chat with your phone using your, whatever they call the new Club Nintendo account. So you're talking to your friends who are playing a game, and then when you get home, you shut off the phone and hop on the NX and join the same chat channel. That would be really cool. But anyway, if you could at least text to your friends in the Nintendo universe, whatever name they call it, while you're out and about using an app from Nintendo, and then that way you don't have to be tied to the console in order to say something and say, hey, we're playing this, do you want to join us? Because some of the people that I play games with online, I don't give my phone number to. Controls. I love Nintendo's Wii U controller. It lets Nintendo's do something that other systems can't. But if Nintendo wants third-party support, they have to make sure that they keep the controls the same as the other consoles. That means they absolutely have to have, at a minimum, 2 analog sticks, 2 shoulder buttons, 2 analog triggers, the face buttons, and a D-pad. Right now, they don't have the analog triggers. They only have digital triggers. If they are going to have a touch screen on the middle of the controller, and I think they should because it's cool, it has to be a better quality, like iPad quality, and it needs to leave behind the pressure-sensitive touch and use a capacitive touch instead. Have the screen. They also need to make sure that the screen has a way to turn itself off. So if you're playing a game that doesn't use it, the battery of that controller doesn't drain as much. And Nintendo needs to make sure they don't try and force developers into shoehorning on-screen gameplay onto this thing. Because if they do, a lot of companies are going to say, well, we'll just develop for the other ones because it's easier. The last thing they need to do as far as the controls is let the Wii controllers die off. Every time motion controls are used in a game, I'm disappointed. It was a fun diversion when the Wii first came out, but the controllers are uncomfortable and imprecise. They're just not great. They're okay, but they're not great. And if we keep shoehorning them in, then we've got games that have on the box, it's got like 4 different controllers that you can use for it. I would prefer you just have a default controller for the Wii U, and that's it. Their catalog. First and foremost, they need to launch with a new Mario game, or a new Zelda game, or both. Not a port from the Wii U, but a new game, and it has to be available at launch. There's been too many times where Nintendo launched a system with a weak lineup, and it killed it. Other systems can launch with a weak lineup because they know that other game companies like EA and Activision are going to fill in the gaps rather quickly. Nintendo doesn't have these relationships anymore, so if they launch with a massive first-party title, the NX will fly off the shelves, and developers will fall in line and start making games for it. Nintendo's biggest strength is its back catalog of awesome games. If Nintendo really wants to blow us away, they should use it. They should use a subscription service just like Xbox Live or PSN, and instead of giving out like, oh, here's a free game this month, if you subscribe to it, you should get all of the virtual console stuff that's available. Not just a few virtual console titles, but all of them that Nintendo has the rights to, because there's some games that were made for the NES or Super NES or Game Boy that they don't have the rights to put back out. People will subscribe to the virtual console service, even though they're not going to call it that, in droves. And Nintendo will get money from everybody every month, instead of just once in a while when our favorite title comes out. That's a win-win for everybody. They also need to find a way to combine the portable system and the home system. I know it sounds nuts, but Nintendo has been putting out some amazing games for both systems. The problem is they're splitting their resources in half. When the average customer looks at the Wii U or the 3DS by itself, not as a two-piece platform, it seems like the number of titles available for them is low. But when you look at them combined together, pardon me, the number of titles is great. Nintendo has perfected streaming from the Wii U to the Wii controller. So my guess is, what if, and this is a pipe dream, but what if the NX streamed from the controller to the TV? In 2 to 3 years, they might actually be able to do this pretty well. I mean, right now I can use my iPad to send something up to my Apple TV, and there's a little bit of lag, but I bet you Nintendo could figure out that lag a little bit better because it's more of a priority for them than it is for Apple. The portable console would just become the main console. And as far as portable consoles go, nobody can touch Nintendo. So now that the portable's the main console, it won't be as powerful, but my phone display is 1080p. The graphics aren't next gen, but most of the time when people buy a Nintendo product, it isn't for the graphics. I know some people would say, but then the developers have to, like, I guess, down-res their games to work on Nintendo consoles. And that's a hurdle that they would have to figure out. For the moment-to-moment experiences you get when playing Nintendo games, that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for the prettiest graphics. Or at least I'm not. Two more things that Nintendo has to tackle for the NX to be a success. Streaming. Twitch and YouTube integration. I don't see this happening. Nintendo right now seems to think that these platforms cost them money or keep them from controlling their PR messaging. Nintendo needs to get out of their own way when it comes to user-generated content. Currently, Nintendo seems to want to very, very tightly control content on YouTube. I think this is a mistake, and it's one that the Big N needs to avoid. It turns users away. People are less likely to stream their games if it's a hassle, and a lot of players go out and buy games that they've seen played on Twitch or YouTube. And the very last thing that Nintendo absolutely has to do, it might be the most important, is they have to make sure that if they want the NX to be a success, they need to support multiple engines. Developers don't want to reinvent the wheel just to port to another platform. If Nintendo works with engine developers, then more games will be on their systems. So make sure that the new Unreal Engine, make sure that the what's it called from Valve, Source, make sure that Source 2 would work. Make sure that that one from DICE works. They have to make sure that all of these engines work with whatever the NX is. That way, a developer writes the code once, makes a few changes, and then pushes it to the new console, so that it's easy for developers to get their content onto Nintendo platforms so that the Nintendo consumers can buy them. The announcement of the NX isn't a surprise for me. I don't think we're going to see it for a few years. I know that we're not going to hear anything about it until next year's E3, and I don't think that it'll come out next year. I think it's a 2017 release at the soonest. If Nintendo wants to make it a success, they need to look at their mistakes in the past and avoid them. What do you think? Do you think that is there anything that I left off that Nintendo needs to do in order to make sure that the NX is a success? Or am I flat out wrong about any of the points that I made? Email me, runjumpstomp@gmail.com, or hit me up on Twitter @runjumpstomp. Mark your calendars. April 16th to 19th, Star Wars Celebration, Star Wars Battlefront. We will get an official announcement, and probably a new awesome trailer. From EA, they said, we could not think of a better or more appropriate place to debut the game officially for the first time than the premiere event that celebrates the Star Wars universe and the legions of fans who have fallen in love with it. Man, this game looks rad. Last year, they showed some footage at E3. Apparently, they had gone to the locations where they shot the movies so that they could get stuff just right. Now, that might just be hype, but I'm hyped. This game looks fantastic. Star Wars is back in a big way with Episode 7 coming this year, and then Rogue One next year, and then Episode 8 the year after that, plus the new books coming out. Disney is really pushing on all cylinders. Pushing on all cylinders? Firing on all cylinders. That's the thing that they're doing. I'm really looking forward to this game. Are you? So there's a podcast called Game Slice, and it was posted by Jeff Keighley. and he interviewed Gabe Newell about Source 2 and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not going to get into everything. If you want to get all of it, make sure that you check out the podcast. The link will be in the show notes. I just wanted to talk about one quote that Polygon had posted from that because it was about Half-Life 3 without actually being about Half-Life 3. Gabe Newell said, "I get it. I'm a fan of TV shows, I'm a fan of writers, I'm a fan of movies, I'm a fan of games. I certainly understand why people are like, hey, I remember this awesome experience, and I'm starting to get worried that I'm never going to get to have it again. I'm a fan of Terry Pratchett, and he has Alzheimer's. And it's like, oh God, I may never get another Discworld novel." Now, he said this before Pratchett's death, so that was bad timing. Then he said, "So we understand it, and we feel that. We think at the end of the day, customers are going to be really happy with where we've spent our time and how we've turned that into entertainment for them. But we're also going to build on what we learned, and we've learned a lot. We're not going to go all retro because there are too many interesting things that we learned." Okay, so the all retro quote makes me think no Half-Life. I mean, he never mentioned Half-Life 3 once, but he danced around it the whole time. Are we going to see another Half-Life? I really don't think we are. I think that he's happy with the story that they told, and even though it ended on a cliffhanger, then I think he wants to leave it up to the fans to figure out what happens after that last scene at Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Yeah, it was Half-Life 2 Episode 2, where there was like a shocking end. And then we were all like, oh my God, what happens next? And we never get to find out. I've seen that happen in the past. I remember when I was in high school, there was a TV show called Sliders. Now, admittedly, Sliders was not a very good TV show. But I vividly remember the end of a season. One of the main characters gets shot before he goes through the portal, and then the next year, the show did not get picked up for another season. So we just had to figure out what happened on our own. I think that this is what's going to happen with Half-Life 3, especially where that part where he said we're not going to go all retro, although it's funny to think of Half-Life as a retro game. First impressions of Mario Party 10 are, it's Mario Party. The first thing that my son and I did is we sat down. We ordered the one that came with the Mario Amiibo, and he wanted to do the Amiibo thing first, so we did that one first. And it's just a circular board, like an actual board game. Like they could sell this board game in board game stores, and people could play it on a table. That's how board game like it is. So we played the first Amiibo one, and it was the Mario themed one. And as he went around the board, he could pick up pieces that went to his Amiibo that then he could unleash to change the board a little by taking out a section and replacing it with a Peach section, or taking out another section and replace it with a Yoshi section. It was interesting. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. There was a star that kept moving around the board, and if you got to it in time, you could buy the star for the coins that you had. The Amiibo part of the game, it seems tacked on, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. Bowser Party, we haven't played much. He was playing it this morning a little bit, and I kind of watched him for a little bit, and it was interesting. Basically, Bowser chases you around the screen, but when I walked in the room, he was right at the end of a game, so I didn't see the whole thing. Then we sat down together and we played the Mario Party, because there's 3 sections. There's Amiibo Party, there's Bowser Party, and then there's Mario Party. We sat down and played a Mario Party, and this is a lot more like the previous versions of Mario Party. I can't remember which one started this, but all of the characters are in a car together, and whatever happens when you land on a space happens to the person driving the car, and then they keep changing places in the car. I'm not sure why they do this and why they don't have people all over the board. I think it might be so that if you're way far back on the board, you don't feel like you're less likely to win. But that really only happens because these boards are linear instead of circular. Not saying that there's only one path, because there are multiple paths, but you don't keep going around until all of these steps are over. Or not steps, but turns. Like maybe there's 10 turns, and you used to keep going around until something happened. This one, you go from start to finish, and then there's a boss battle and a mini boss battle. It was pretty fun. We did the underwater one. We were all in a car together. On the Wii U gamepad, you'll have Bowser, and he's in jail. And each bar on his jail cell has a lock on it. And if you roll the dice, you unlock that bar if your number comes up. So if you roll a 4, then the 4th bar gets unlocked. And once all of those get unlocked, then Bowser comes out, and he puts Bowser spaces on the board, and generally causes problems for the players. All in all, I'd say it's a pretty good game. I would highly recommend it. It looks fantastic, and it's finally about time that we had a Mario Party game in HD, because the boards look really good, the characters look really good. It's really great to play it and having it look nice on your big TV instead of all stretched out and blurry, because the Wii didn't have 1080p. I would recommend it if you enjoy Mario Party games, but if you are not a Mario Party games fan, then there's really nothing here for you. Have you tried out Mario Party? If so, what do you think of Mario Party 10? And am I wrong about the amiibo just being a throwaway? Nintendo's president and CEO, Satoru Iwata, spoke to Time magazine, or I guess Time.com. Is it still a magazine? I don't know. So he talked to Time, and he gave an interview about Nintendo and their upcoming plans. He said quite a few things. I definitely think you should read the whole article, but I'm just going to glaze over what I felt like were the most important parts of it. He said that free-to-play is not a term that he really likes, although he says that he has no intention of denying that the he calls it the free-to-start model. He says that it's a good model. He just doesn't like the term free-to-play. And there are definitely inherent problems with it, and he thinks that Nintendo can overcome those problems. He, of course, wasn't very forthcoming about his plans to get around the problems of free-to-play, but I'm sure that they've got some kind of plan in place that will be unique to Nintendo, because that's what they always do. They do unique things. He also said that the Wii U was higher cost than they had planned on it being, and that had a lot to do with the valuation of the yen at the time that it came to market. As somebody who knows absolutely zero about business, I find that really interesting. I had no idea that it would influence something that small. I always figured it would have only influences on things that are absolutely massive. The biggest bombshell that he revealed was that the new 3DS did not have the super stable 3D feature until the last minute. Um, they had finished prototypes. They were getting ready to start finishing this stuff. They were in the final stage of prototypes, and then Mr. Miyamoto, who is everyone's hero, said, "Why aren't we putting this in the system? If we don't put this in, there's no point in making the system." And then he finally he pushed it hard enough that they decided to put it in the system. So I definitely think we all owe Mr. Iwata a big thanks for putting Super Stable 3D in the new 3DS, because man, oh man, it has made every 3DS game that I already had way better than it was before. He said that he doesn't see Amiibo as a Skylanders or Disney Infinity clone. I would disagree with him, except he's totally right, because those games, or those items, are dependent on one singular game, whereas the Amiibos, they're spread out over a bunch of games. Now, that being said, I really wish that Nintendo would put out an Amiibo game that used the Amiibos in a way that was required, just like the Skylanders, because I think that would be a really fun experience to have. The last thing that I'll talk about is that he said that the live-action Zelda series that was supposed to be coming to Japan is not accurate. Now, when he says that, his exact quote is, "As of now, I have nothing new to share with you in regard to the use of our IPs or any TV show or film, but I can at least confirm that the article in question is not based on correct information." So he's not denying it. He's just saying it's not based on correct information. So that seems like a non-denial. One can hope. My only worry about a Zelda series coming from Netflix is it going to be in Japanese? I don't mind if things are in Japanese, but I would prefer to watch it in English, since I'm an English-speaking person. But Nintendo's a Japanese company. Are they going to make a Japanese show from Netflix? Right now, we don't know if they're going to make anything. The last Nintendo story for this week is that Nintendo new 3DS has been exploited to make Japanese systems region-free. Normally this wouldn't be a big deal, but the new 3DS is not available in North America. It's only available in Japan and Europe. If you want to get a new 3DS with the Super Stable 3D, faster processor, and the C-Stick in North America, you have to buy the new 3DS XL model, which is a bigger version. That's actually my preferred version. I like the bigger model. But the smaller one has colored buttons, which it's not really a big deal, but it also has interchangeable faceplates. Now, I think the reason that Nintendo didn't bring the smaller version to the US is because they didn't want to have to pay the retailers for the shelf space that would be required for these cover plates. And so they said, forget it, we just won't bring it here. Now, somebody has used an exploit to make Japanese systems region free. So you could then import a Japanese 3DS, I'm sorry, new 3DS. Man, that name's terrible. And then you could play English games on it. And this exploit only supports legitimate cartridge games. So that means you would have to buy all your games on cartridge. You wouldn't be able to go to the eShop. That seems like a pretty good workaround. The downside is there's no online gaming for that. Honestly, I don't understand why Nintendo still insists on region locking. Somebody told me it was in order to keep the price of games in Japan higher because they're cheaper over here in the US. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just something that somebody told me. I do know that the public relations issues that Nintendo's been having with the new 3DS XL or otherwise probably wouldn't be an issue if region locking wasn't part of the equation. This week on Wishlisted, I'm adding Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited to the wishlist. Or am I? Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited. Boy, that is a mouthful. Do I want this game? I'm not sure. I played the beta for Elder Scrolls back when it was a subscription model game, and it wasn't successful. That's probably my fault because I didn't buy it. But do I want it now that it's more along the model of Guild Wars 2, where there's no subscription and you just pay for cosmetic stuff or XP boosters or something like that? That is very interesting to me. It's currently $60 and they just switched over to their free-to-play model, and I'm just not sure if I want to get it. Right now, it's on my wish list, but I haven't yet pulled that trigger. My problems with the beta, I don't know if I was being fair, because I was judging it based on it being a subscription game, not based on whether or not I was having fun. I'm not sure if I had fun when I was playing the beta. I only ever had time to play for a little bit during the beta, so I didn't ever get very far, and I was interested in the story, but I didn't want the story spoiled for me, so I just skipped through all of the story stuff so that I would be able to experience that on my actual character when I played the game when it actually came out. The combat looks really good. It looks very, very interesting. I like that combat system. I also like that you can actually fight in first person and see your character's hands. That being said, I'm not sure if it'll work, because can you see the telegraphs on the ground under your feet if you're in first person mode? That might force you out of first person altogether. Like when I played EverQuest, I played it in first person mode all the time. That was the way that you played EverQuest. And that's because there were no telegraphs to get out of. You didn't need to see that stuff. You could tell who was going to get hit by the monster by which way it was facing. And you could always tell that by looking at it, which you had to do in order to cast a spell anyway. In Elder Scrolls and Guild Wars 2 and WoW and everything else, if there's something on the ground that you can't see, then you're going to take that damage. So playing a game in first person makes me wonder if it's really possible in that kind of game. Are any of you playing Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited? If so, what do you guys think of it? I think I watched a few people on Twitch playing it, and it looks fun, but I don't know if it's $60 of fun. Let me know. This week, I didn't have a whole lot of time to play games. The time that I did spend with a controller in my hand was mostly spent on Animal Crossing New Leaf, which is a game that I bought to play with my son, and neither of us really got into it. So I wasn't sure if I liked the game or not. I don't know why. Oh, I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember which one, and they were talking about how they had lost their Animal Crossing data, and that was like 300 hours. And I was like, 300 hours? How can you spend 300 hours in that game? Well, it turns out I was playing it wrong. I did a little research, went to the Wikia, and started looking up how exactly to play this game. And there is a lot to do in that game. It's very interesting. It's very, very cool. It was cool enough that I bought a third copy of it for my wife to play on her 3DS. So now all three of us are playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on our 3DSs, and we're really enjoying it. We're going to each other's towns and trading fruit and finding things and buying up the turnips and talking to each other about, hey, what are the turnip prices in your town today? And we're having a lot of fun with it. I highly recommend this game, and the first time that I played it, I would not have recommended it. I don't think it puts its best foot forward, and it wasn't until I heard other people talking it up so much that I decided to give it another shot. So that's what's on the long play for this week, mostly because I didn't have time for anything else. The great thing about Animal Crossing is that you can play it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour if you want. It's really easy to pick up and put down, and I'm really glad that I bought it digitally on all three of the DSs, because now we always have it with us. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I left that card at home. I can always open up Animal Crossing and take care of the things that need to be done. Like, I've been putting things in my calendar on my phone to remind me, hey, don't forget to check and see what the turnip prices are before noon. Just if I have time, then I open up the DS and I do that and check, and maybe I'm able to sell and get some extra money. If you don't have Animal Crossing New Leaf, don't let its... I don't want to say kiddie, because it looks kiddie, and it is a kiddie game. And I don't want to use that as an insult. Don't let its simplistic nature fool you. It's a pretty fun game, and it's pretty deep, and I'm really enjoying it. Thanks for listening to Run, Jump, Stomp today. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can always get a hold of me through email. That's runjumpstomp@gmail.com, or you can get a hold of me on Twitter @runjumpstomp. This week's music was by 505, and the track is called Relix, and the link can be found in the show notes. Thank you so much for making us part of your day here at Run, Jump, Stomp.